Osmo Action 5 Pro, first out. Take a look at this knife. Pretty sick, huh? And there we go. All right, let's take a look in the accessories box first. We got a couple of magnetic feet, the USB-C cable, and ooh, I like this. A charging case with 3 batteries. Nice. Let's see, what do we got in here? We got a helmet mount, another pair of magnetic feet, and the cage. Feels sturdy, I like. We got 2 screws, also good to have. And wow, the telescopic selfie stick. And here it is, the DJI Action 5 Pro. Gotta say, the red looks good on it. Next up, Hero 13 Black. Let's use a different knife for this. Well, seems like I don't need to use it. Well, now I do. Huh. It opened this way. Seems like we are missing the anamorphic lens, even though it should be in the kit. Let's see what we got here. The ultra-wide lens. Next up is the macro lens. Ugh. Ooh, take a look at that glass. And over here we got the ND filters. ND4 to ND32. Sick. A couple of magnetic feet here as well. Nice GoPro. And here it is. The GoPro Hero 13 Black. I like it. We got a couple of more things. Another pair of magnetic feet. A couple of screws. USB-C. And helmet mount, of course. Together with another screw. And, oh, the new battery. Not a huge fan of this. So we're currently shooting with the highest settings on both of these cameras. We have the GoPro right here, which is shooting at 5.3K, hyper view, and the GoPro log. And over on this side, we got the DJI Action with 4K 30, rock steady, ultra wide, and D-Log M. And I'm also using this, I think it's called Super Smooth or Hyper Smooth on the GoPro as well. So this is like as fair as of a comparison that you can get. And I don't know about you, but just looking at the screen on these 2 cameras, you can absolutely see that the GoPro log is super washed out when you compare it to the Action 5 Pro. I'm gonna say that the GoPro log is one of the best log profiles that I've seen in an action camera so far. And it actually makes the Action 5 Pro look like it has some sort of color correction in the camera. Feels like both cameras are doing a pretty good job at handling the auto exposure going into the shadow. These cameras are shooting in like full auto exposure. I haven't set up anything when it comes to the white balance or shutter or the ISO. They're just at auto. What you're hearing right now is audio straight out from the GoPro. I've done absolutely 0 adjustments to it, and I thought I'd do this test in the car to see how good it actually reduces the noise from the actual car. And what you're listening to right now is the DJI Action 5 Pro without any adjustments at all. So you're gonna have to be the judge here if you think that this sounds good or if it does not sound good. We're gonna do a recording test to see which one of these cameras record for the longest. I got 2 full batteries. We got 2 empty SD cards. So I'm gonna put the cameras in the shade, and we're gonna start with 4K 30 FPS on both cameras and see how long they can run for. Start.
Hang on, we need some tension for this test. I mean, while we're waiting for one of the cameras to die, right? Okay, I want to show you a new feature over at Artlist. It's called stems, It allows you to extract the building blocks of the song and makes it possible for you to utilize it in multiple different ways. When you're looking for a song, make sure that stems are available. You simply click on this icon next to the song you want to download. Then you choose which stem you'd like, or all of them. As you can see here on the timeline, we've added a few stems of the song. We're building up the tension of the song to fit the video. It opens up an entirely new door to be creative with music. Not only that, but the voice you're listening to right now is actually their AI voiceover tool. It allows you to create a studio quality voiceover just by typing the things you want it to say. I'd like to call it magic, but I know it isn't. It sounds incredibly realistic, and it's also a fantastic thing to offer your clients when you're making videos for them. You'll also get 2 months for free when signing up for Artlist by using the link in the description. Oh, it seems like one of the cameras died. Let's get back to the test.
Let's see which one died the first. Your GoPro turned itself off during the previous session because it ran out of battery. Nice. Didn't overheat at least. So as you can see here, it recorded for 1 hour and 44 minutes before dying. As you can see here, we have 41, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. So all of these 5 clips combined turned out to be 183 minutes. So if you're like me and you're having a hard time with math, 3 hours and 3 minutes. It still doesn't live up to the 4 hours of recording that DJI says that the Action 5 Pro is supposed to have. I've done more than 5 tests at this point with maximum recording time maxing out at 3 hours and 15 minutes, which is incredibly long anyways, but I still think that saying 4 hours means that it's supposed to have 4 hours. There might be some sort of asterisk saying that it's only in 1080p or something like that, I don't know, but when it comes to 4K maximum resolution, I have not been able to get more than 3 hours and 15 minutes. I want to talk about the bit rates of these cameras. Now, a lot of people have been commenting that, well, I don't like that DJI has lowered the bitrate, and I totally agree. Lowering the bitrate on a camera like this and then calling it Pro is not a good move. However though, I do think they will release it in a future firmware update. This is not something that I have inside info on, I just think that that is the way to go. The bitrate on the GoPro 13 maxes out at 120 and the Action 5 maxes out at 100. But this doesn't really matter if the image quality doesn't look better to begin with. So the reason that I'm saying this is because you know that the DJI Action 4 has a higher bitrate than the Action 5 has. Well, I'm gonna give you 2 shots to look at and you're gonna guess which is which. And one of them is actually gonna be the DJI Action 4 shot at the highest resolution and highest bitrate, and the other one is gonna be the DJI Action 5 Pro. Roll the clip. Let's do one more. And that's the reason why I'm saying that it doesn't really matter how much of a bitrate you have unless the camera is actually looking better than the previous one. One of my most famous videos that I've done here on YouTube is the poker B-roll, which is actually shot with an 8-bit camera in 1080p, and to this day it actually looks like it's shot in 4K with a 10-bit camera. Let's head back to the studio and do the rest of the tests. 4K 120 on the DJI Action 5 Pro, 4K 120 on the GoPro. Start. Timer. This is actually interesting because the GoPro is still running. The Action 5 overheated before the GoPro. And there you can see the message that I got from the Action 5. Interesting. Oh, there we go. That was close. The GoPro actually turned off. The DJI did not turn off. It's still running, but the recording stopped. But I think it was within a minute between the two. So we're gonna give a point to the GoPro in 4K 120. I also did do a recording test of the GoPro in 5.3K, and since the Action 5 Pro doesn't have 5.3K, I thought that why not do this test alone, va? So the GoPro actually managed to last 49 minutes before overheating and saying like, hey, your GoPro turned off during the previous session because it was too hot. For those of you that were wondering how it performed in 5.3K. I want to show you another thing as well, and that is that during these 49 minutes that the GoPro was rolling, it recorded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different files. Meanwhile, the Action 5 Pro, over the course of 2 hours and 39 minutes, only recorded 2 files. So it seems like the Action 5 Pro caps out at like 17.2 gigabytes per file. Meanwhile, the GoPro at 11 gigabytes per file.
I was actually kind of chockad, as we would say in Swedish, that the GoPro only lasted for 1 hour and 42 minutes before it actually ran out of battery. I did think it was going to overheat in 4K 30, but it didn't. However, though, when it comes to the batteries of these two cameras, I do have some opinions. As you probably know already if you've seen my previous video where I talk about the GoPro. We have the GoPro battery here, which has 1900 milliamps, and then we got the DJI battery, which has 1950 milliamps. So they are very similar. And that makes me question, why did the Action 5 outlast the GoPro with over an hour of recording? It also makes me wonder why GoPro decided to improve the battery for this version and not save it for the next version where it actually has an improved camera sensor as well. Because now it feels like they just switched the battery without any specific reason, especially when you compare it to the Action 5 Pro, because this runs so much longer. But also, if you think about it, the Action 3, the Action 4, and the Action 5 Pro has the same battery type with the same kind of connector, and they all still work with the same battery, even though the Action 3 had a smaller sensor. So DJI has managed to improve the battery capacity of the Action 5 Pro, but still maintaining the same size as they did 3 years ago. Let's take a look at the weight of cameras and see which one comes in the lightest. GoPro with the battery and memory card included, 157 grams. DJI Action 5 Pro with a memory card and battery included, 144 grams. That basically means that the Action 5 Pro is almost or exactly 13 grams lighter than what the GoPro 13 is. And for those of you that are flying FPV, you know that every gram matters. Talking about FPV, let's see how they perform.
The settings that we're using is 5.3K, 16:9, 30 FPS, auto exposure, hyper view, and hyper smooth on. For the Action 5 Pro, we're going for 4K 30, rock steady, ultra wide, 16:9.
I don't know if you noticed, but wow, did you see the amount of warping on the GoPro towards the edges? That was actually kind of wicked. It looked like there was some sort of like wave going on like this. Meanwhile, on the Action 5 Pro, there's almost no warping towards the edges. Even though I was shooting ultra wide on both of these cameras, and no, for those of you wondering, I did not use the ultra wide lens. I used the original lens on both of these cameras to make sure that the comparison was fair. I'm gonna show you again so you understand what I mean. But looking at the GoPro, you can see that the edges are super weird and super wavy. And that is something that we don't have on the Action 5 Pro. And it might be because you're supposed to bring the GoPro footage into real steady and stabilize it that way. But if you do that, you're gonna lose some resolution because it's gonna crop in on the footage. Meanwhile, on the Action 5 Pro, you don't have to bring it into gyroflow in order to stabilize the footage. because it actually looks so freaking smooth straight out of the camera. And everything that you've seen me shoot with Action 5 Pro when it comes to FPV stuff has been stabilized with nothing else than the things that are built into this camera. I've been using the GoPro as my main FPV camera up until the point last year where DJI actually released Action 4. Then I switched over to that. And I gotta say, I'm probably not gonna go back to the GoPro. It's a little bit heavier, but the footage that is coming out of the Action 5 Pro just looks so freaking smooth and so good without actually having to do anything else rather than just put it on my FPV. So the final verdict, which is going to be my personal opinion, is that if you want to have the best log profile in an action camera, as of right now, I'm going to hands down give it to GoPro. They made some incredible changes from last year, and this log profile looks incredibly flat compared to the Action 5 Pro. So if that is what you're looking for, the GoPro might be your best bet. When it comes to all the other image quality preferences that I have, I do think that the Action 5 Pro looks the best. And it also, like listening to the internal microphone of this camera, it actually sounds like I'm having an external microphone attached to it because it sounds so clear and so crisp. There's a lot of things speaking towards the Action 5 Pro rather than the GoPro. And I also want to show you something when it comes to the dynamic range, because looking at these two shots, you can see that they look similar, but when you start to inspect them, especially where the sun is, the Action 5 is much better in capturing more details of the actual sun and the shadows. And it performs much better in low light scenarios. But again, these are all my personal opinion. And if you're wondering why I think that certain image quality looks better than the other, it's because I'm editing this on a 6K monitor and I'm pixel peeping, like legit pixel peeping. And YouTube does not at all times give it justice. I would love to know, which camera do you think performed the best, and why do you think that? And which camera are you interested in getting? Do drop a comment down below. And last thing, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because I would love to see you in the next video. Anyway, Peter from Sweden is saying goodbye. Take care.